So, it's been a while since I've done top 10 favorite videos, and I wanted to do one that took a little bit of thought, and one that's going to open the door to an entire series of top 10 Transformers videos, and that is listing my top 10 favorites of all the various size classes. And I'm not going to start from smallest to largest. I'm going to vary it up. I'm going to start with Deluxe class, because I actually got one recently that it's very up at the top of the list, and I thought long and hard. I looked through my entire Transformers collection, and there's so many amazing Deluxe class figures. But these 10 that I'm showing here are my favorite. Now, the two that you're looking at right now, Titans Return Trigger Happy and RID Bumblebee, they are, let's just say, examples of the rules that I have to follow for this list. So I gave myself some rules, and I feel like these rules are going to make some of these lists more interesting. Some of them I cannot abide by these rules because there's, too many limitations. So for the Deluxe video, I can abide by both of these major rules. Rule number 1, no duplicates from a toy line. Each toy line can only have one representative. However, if there is 2 toys from a toy line, but one of them got plucked and repainted for another toy line, I'll count that. That's a little bit of a way to cheat. So, unfortunately, there is another Titans Return toy on this list, and even though I could have applied that rule to it, I still feel like even if I didn't have the copy that I have, it would still be another one, so I decided to not have Titans Return Trigger Happy on this list. I adore this Trigger Happy. It's so great. It's one of my favorites. If I did not abide by this rule to keep it more interesting, he would definitely be on the list. But Bumblebee here actually lists a couple rules. So this is RID 2015 Warrior Class Bumblebee. He's a Warrior class. He's not a Deluxe class. All of these that I'm showing here have to be Deluxe class. Warrior class is going to get its own video, because I want to kind of shine and show off how Warrior class toys from the various cartoons can actually have a chance to shine. Now, obviously, the Warrior class video will break the rule of not having, duplicates from toy lines, because there's only like a handful of toy lines that have Warrior class, so RID is probably going to be half the list. But another rule that this Bumblebee shows is that there's no character duplication either. I already have a Bumblebee on this list, so this Bumblebee, even if he was a Deluxe class, could not be on the list. So, again, there is an example of that. If there is a character that has been, where it's a toy and has been repainted into a different character, but it's still that original toy, I will count it. You'll see the example as I move along. But I wanted to explain these rules just to keep the list a little bit interesting and kind of go over my thought process on making this list. And how this is going to go, I'm going to show each figure in vehicle mode, and I'm going to talk about it as I transform it into robot mode. So let's pluck these two out of our way and start off with number 10. I'm not going to keep you waiting for long. It's Classics Mirage. So this one right here is one of the last ones that I thought of to include on the list. But as I was thinking about figures from the Classics line, I couldn't shake it just how much I love this mold. I do have the Crasher version as well, but I think I prefer the Mirage just a little bit more. This alt mode is perfect. There is not a thing wrong with this alt mode. It is fantastic. The transformation, too, is one that I absolutely, thoroughly enjoy. It is so well done, so simple, and this is a figure from 2006. I'm sure some of you watching were not even alive when this thing came out. For being a figure from 2006, this Mirage was a great example of how you could still have amazing engineering for a figure of this age. Like, look at this head reveal, dude. Oh my gosh, so good. I do have the Earthrise Mirage. I think it was released in Kingdom, though. But honestly, if you would ask me what my favorite Mirage toy is, I would still say Classics. This is still my favorite Mirage toy. The design isn't for everybody. He's very spindly, very thin. But I feel like that design allows for some amazing articulation. Like, the posability and articulation on this guy is wild, and his feet are so big, he can very easily stand on one foot. And you can see why they repainted it into Crasher. I mean, look at look at how big those feet are. I feel like they kind of thought about Crasher when they made this, especially with the very thin design. I love the wheels on the back. The head sculpt is great. I used to have the drag strip repaint of this, and I kind of wouldn't mind to get that one back, because I just enjoy this figure that much. So number 10 has to go to Classics Mirage. He is our representative from Transformers Classics. Absolutely adore that line. Next up, this is a figure from Generations. And as I was thinking about the Generations 2010 line, this one just... I really needed an Optimus Prime on the list. And the War for Cybertron Deluxe Optimus is such an amazing toy. In my opinion, there is still several things about this toy that I like more than the recent Studio Series Voyager. But this one, you know, it is smaller. I feel like that new Studio Series one is a little bit more game accurate. But this thing, dude, is just so good. I love the gun, how the gun does a little flip-me-do thing. That's very fun. The alt mode is just very solid and very chunky. And as I begin to transform it, you'll be able to see that there are so many intricate little panels and elements to this transformation that just make it so involved. I feel like I'm literally seeing a robot change its shape before my eyes. The fact that this vehicle turns into the robot that it transforms into is a miracle, in my opinion. I feel like all the shifting of mass and all these little panels and everything, they just contribute to an amazing looking robot. And I love this big panel up here. That just works so well with the transformation. It's just so nicely done. These little panels up front, want to get those untabbed. I did decide to go from vehicle to robot, just so not only could you see the transformation, but also because it's historically a little easier. It's a little easier. Even though I do know these transformations pretty well, I transform my figures so so slapdash. I literally just take it and I start moving things. That's how I've always transformed to Transformers. But that's okay. That's how I have my fun. Yeah, like you can just see how much mass is just shifting on this thing. How the shoulder pads come together, how the arms fold down, and then there is a lot of spinning that's about to happen right now. So the chest is going to spin. Actually, no. First, we need to spin this thing. This thing needs to spin around the back, and then the chest is going to spin. And then we can collapse all of that, get the waist in, get the little hip guards in, get the legs straight, almost done. Flip out that gorgeous head sculpt, and then this back panel that is concealing a very nice game-accurate Autobot logo. Just kind of folds around the back. And here we have my absolute favorite iteration of Optimus Prime in Deluxe class. This is definitely such an amazing figure. And the reason why I have this one on the list specifically, like what's really special about this toy, is just the intricacy of it. The solidness, yet the intricacy. I really do enjoy that sometimes in Deluxe class. As we move on, you will also see that I enjoy simplicity and efficiency. But this one is just that nice blend of accuracy and intricacy and just amazing engineering that it has to be on the list. Although it's a little lower because of how intricate it is. It's not one that I always want to pick up and transform. Number 9 was Optimus Prime, and number 8 is his buddy Bumblebee, and this is my favorite version of Deluxe Bumblebee. I'm going to give you a second to figure out which iteration of movie Bumblebee this is. I'll give you a second. This is the Hunt for the Decepticons Battle Blades Bumblebee. This one is amazing. I feel like this Bumblebee, I mean, number 1, look at the car. It's incredible. But this Bumblebee, I feel, kind of was the template for almost every movie Bumblebee to follow. The Dark of the Moon one is very similar to this one, and even like the Studio Series ones, I feel like take a lot of inspiration from this. There's various reasons why this is my favorite Deluxe Bumblebee. Number 1, it's movie Bumblebee. If you don't know me, one of the toys I wanted the most as a kid was movie Bumblebee. And I've always had a big soft spot for movie Bumblebee and his design. And I think that this toy just handles it so well and does such a great job translating it into a transforming figure. I mean, look at those legs. Those look so good. Up above, the transformation is going to get a little bit more intricate. And I'm sure his head will pop off. It always pops off. But that's okay. I love how the arms fold out. And I feel like the arms are just so efficient with how they just come out. This is a very big Deluxe as well. I feel like that's another reason why I really enjoy this, because it just feels like such a good value for your money. It's so big, and it's such a good iteration of movie Bumblebee. The head sculpt is incredible as well. I love that head sculpt for Bumblebee. Let's go ahead and get this back panel raised up a little bit. Then flip that in. All right, almost done. We're going to feed the head through the hole. And it almost always pops off on this step. Almost always. There's just not enough space. Yep, there it goes. It popped off. That's okay. We got it back. There's usually never enough space for the head to fit through, but that's okay. All right, almost done. Just got to take his chest. I love when Bumblebees do this, when the chest actually transforms from the front. They do a lot of fake chests nowadays, but I feel like that one is just so efficient, and it looks so great. And seeing this Bumblebee in its robot mode, I think kind of speaks for itself why this is my favorite deluxe Bumblebee. It is proportionally a little awkward. It's not the most accurate Bumblebee proportionally, but I don't really care about that. I just think this is such a fun deluxe movie Bumblebee, especially for the gimmicks that it has. I feel like this Bumblebee is the perfect companion piece to ROTF leader Optimus, because both of them just have so much going on, and they both just are such great depictions of the characters. So number one, this Bumblebee has a battle mask. We can go ahead and flip that down. Looks very cool. And this one is called Battle Blade Bumblebee because it has a spring-loaded battle blade, which is very nice. He's got his little axe that springs out. But not only that, but on the other arm, we can go ahead and split this and move this, and voila, he has his cannon, and it just flips out from the arm. Look at this. We have absolutely armed up our Bumblebee ready for battle, and not a single accessory has to be plucked from the side to do it. No arms need to be switched out, nothing like that. This is just such a successful Bumblebee. It's still my main shelf Bumblebee. Like, I don't have any of the Studio Series Bumblebees on my movie shelf. They're all just on my Bumblebee shelf. This one is my front and center Michael Bay movie collection Bumblebee, and I think it's probably going to stay there forever. It's just so good. Next up, I have to give a shout out to Transformers Cybertron. Cybertron had to have a figure on this list, and it was between this one and the Sideways mold. And I decided to go for this one. And this is a repaint that I just got. It's Transformers Cybertron Hot Shot, or in this iteration, Excellion. I love this Excellion repaint. I prefer it over the Hot Shot, but if I did not have this, Hot Shot would still be on the list, no doubt about that. This is just such a solid example of what a very nice, chunky deluxe class used to be. This is just such a solid toy. Let's get that gun off because it looks ugly. It's just so solid. You can see the transformation is really simple. It's super simple. But this is such an effective, solid robot-to-car toy that I just cannot get over how much I love this thing. It doesn't hurt either that it is from Transformers Cybertron, which, as you know, is my baby. Cybertron is what got me into this in the first place. But even then, this is just such an effective toy. There is the new Legacy version, and there was a small part of me that was wondering, should I put the Legacy version on this instead? But I was like, no, I have to give it to the granddaddy. I have to give it to the king. The original Cybertron mold is just where it's at, dude. This is just such a fun, chunky robot. It's not the most posable thing in the world. It does have all the articulation, like, there on paper. Like, you can move the shoulders, you can move the elbows, the head rotates. Like, on paper, it has all the articulation. It's just not super posable. But the sculpt is just a classic Cybertron sculpt. That transformation is so quick and easy, and it just really demonstrates how this size class is very well fit for very, simplistic, but also efficient transformations. And when I think of one of the best car transformers that it's ever been made, I think of this one. It's not the best car transformer because there are still 4 deluxe cars that I like a little bit more than this one, but this had to be on the list. I love this mold so much. As we're going along, look at the title. This isn't top 10 best Transformers in deluxe class. These are my top 10 favorite. These are the 10 that mean the most to me, that I've had the most fun with. And when it comes to Studio Series, Studio Series has put out a ton of different deluxes, from 86 to the Bay movies to Bumblebee, Rise of the Beast, and all that. But the one that I absolutely love the most is Last Night Hot Rod. So this is our representative for Hot Rod in this list. And it's kind of funny, given how Excellion looks. And we'll talk more later. But this figure is just so good. The transformation is so well done. It looks so much like the character that I just cannot get over how good this toy is. The alt mode is perfect. Look at all those very subtle little stripings. This is just so well done. I have transformed this guy a lot, but given the fact that this is a Studio Series Deluxe, I still have my mild struggles with it. It is still a little intricate, I feel. It's still a little intricate, and I feel like this figure would really benefit from like a KO upscale. I don't know if it's gotten that. If it has, awesome. I'd love to buy that, but if not, that's okay. I still think that this, even though it is a little bit more intricate, it still does the Michael Bay transforming robot design a little bit more efficiently than some of the other figures have historically in the past. Here, let's get the chest. What do we do with the chest? Come on. Come on, I didn't have an issue going into... I didn't have any issue going... Oh my gosh, there we go. I didn't have any issue going into the robot mode, so I'm like, why am I having issues now? Alright, so then that flips. Look at all that. Look at how that front of the car just totally hides inside the body. That's genius. Then the chest closes up, and we're pretty much done with the upper half. We still have the lower half to go, though. So we'll go ahead and untab all this. And then this will move up on us. And then move all the way, just like that. Alrighty, we're making progress. One thing I love are how these pieces fold down and kind of lock the backpack in. I love that. Just a subtle little engineering trick that I think takes this toy from, you know, being a pretty solid deluxe to being one of my absolute favorites. Alrighty, we're almost done. Just have the legs pretty much. Get these all folded. It's got these little panels on the back. They fold in very nice into the foot. Go ahead and rotate the waist, because the waist needs rotated. There we go. Alrighty. I feel like I didn't get the backpack in all the way. No, I didn't. You have to hinge it out, then tab those in. There we go. Progress is being made. I love the little wings, too. I think the door wings look pretty nice back there. I think those are pretty efficient. Alright, almost done. Get that. Get the wheel out. Get all the foot stuff folded in. And here we go. Here's our Last Night Deluxe Hot Rod from Studio Series in robot mode. This isn't the best robot mode design from the Michael Bay movies, but it's one of my favorites. I think they did a pretty decent job designing Hot Rod. Now, the characterization of Hot Rod is pretty trash. Why is he French? That's so stupid. Here, let's get him holding the gun. I love the orange. I think the orange just looks super nice. The sculpting all around is really good. The articulation's really nice. I just love the transformation especially. This almost feels like a little mini masterpiece. And I feel like this figure, its spot on the list is earned from just being so efficient and yet so accurate to what it's trying to portray. This is movie Hot Rod. And I honestly couldn't ask for one any better at the deluxe class. This is so good. I took this guy on a road trip and I was transforming him nonstop, and I still pluck this guy off the shelf every once in a while. This is definitely my favorite deluxe Hot Rod, with a asterisk. With a little, yeah, one of those. Little one of those when I say that. Next up, with how much I've talked about this mold on my channel, you knew this guy had to be on the list. Representing Transformers War for Cybertron Siege, it's the Sideswipe mold. I know. This is just such an effective figure. Number one, look at this alt mode. That looks so slick. I did decide to go with the Siege version over the Earthrise, mostly because it had the best repaints, and my favorite repaint being Deep Cover. I just love this black, I love the blue, and I love all the white in the robot mode as well. This is just such a nice, simple vehicle, and the Earth mode version is very nice as well. But once we start transforming this is just such a quick, good transformation. I feel like this is the kind of toy that really just... It kind of feels like a Cybertron toy in a way, and that's a good thing. It's just so efficient and effective at what it's accomplishing, and I just have fun with it. I have a blast every time I do this. I know some people are like, oh, it's not absolutely perfect, it has this minor problem, or like, oh, the doors are tucked in and they're not on the arms, that's inaccurate for Sideswipe. I can't be that nitpicky, dude. I can't. Because what we end up with is such a good robot mode. This is such a good robot. And I love the articulation. I love the look. I love the feel of it. I feel like this figure is just the example of the best that Siege has to offer. There are some amazing Siege figures. Shout out to Spinister as well. I love Deluxe Spinister. There's just the Ironhide mold is really great. There's so many great Siege Deluxes. But this mold just has to be my favorite. It has to be. This is just so good. And I have so many different versions of it, and I'm sure I'm going to have more. Hasbro better never get rid of this mold. This is going to be their Bucky Cat mold. We better keep seeing this for the next 10 years, because it's just a great staple of what we really should have out of modern car robots. Alrighty, next up. Remember that little asterisk we had over Hot Rod? Yeah, about that. Next up at number 4 is the animated Hot Rod mold, but this is where that rule comes in. This is the breakdown repaint. This is the BotCon Stunticon job breakdown repaint. This is one of the most rare and expensive figures in my collection. But I love this mold so much, I was willing to go out of my way to do what I could to get this breakdown repaint. And I'd love to have the Sideswipe repaint as well. I actually got this from my brother because he had the whole box set and he decided to part it out and just keep Motormaster. So I have it from him, so thank you very much. I had to have a figure from Animated. I had to. And the Hot Rod mold is just my favorite. I got the Hot Rod at the thrift store, and I got this from my brother. It's just, I mean, look at this alt mode to start. Such a great alt mode. Animated had some other amazing deluxe contenders too, like the Auto Trooper Cybertronian Ironhide mold, the Blur mold. That one is absolutely fantastic, but I had to give it to Hot Rod, or Rodimus Minor, actually, is his name, because it's just really good. It's just really good. Let me transform it and show you why. Because I feel like this transformation, this figure, is just so well done. Something about animated figures. If you don't have an animated figure in your collection, I am very sorry. Because I feel like as a Transformers collector, you owe it to yourself to have something from Animated in your life. Because they just do such a good job at translating the animation model and giving us not only that, but also just a really fun figure. There's very few animated figures where I'm kind of like, it could be better. There's very few. And I feel like this one is one of the most perfect ones they ever did. I love this massive shift of where the legs go from the front to the bottom and how the arms also shift. That's just such a clever design aesthetic. The legs, too, we just straighten out those legs. All right, we're almost done. We're going to go ahead and fold in the wheels. Take the chest, fold this down. Doesn't it tab in down there? Isn't that what it does? No, what happens is the arms lock it in. Isn't that what happens? I'm trying to remember what we do. I'm just trying to remember. There we go. All right. Get the arms locked into the sides like that. And then this will go down. And that'll go like that. Yep, there we go. Get the little back in. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, there we go. Chest is locked in. I don't remember what locked it in, but it's locked in. And here we are. Here is our robot mode for animated breakdown. And this robot is just so good. I'm sure some of you are looking at this like, oh, that thing's ugly. Why do you like that? I'm sorry you can't enjoy this. I'm sorry you don't see what I see. But this is just so slick. I love the animated design aesthetic. This head on breakdown is just so cool looking. Look at how clean it is, too. Look at that. It's so clean. There's like nothing hanging off. It's so effective at what it's doing. And he also has a crossbow, or like this weird double arrow thing. I also think that's very cool. The Hot Rod I have did not come with this because it was at the thrift store. But thankfully my breakdown has it. So yeah, this is where I had to bend the rules because I had to have I had to have this mold on the list. And I was thankfully able to have the excuse of, well, I have the breakdown repaint. And obviously with the positioning, if I had to choose to only have one Hot Rod on the list, I would have gone animated, and unfortunately the Studio Series would not have been able to make it. But thankfully, because of breakdown, I was able to make an exception and I was able to put him on the list at number 4. Number 3 is a similar cheat, but not with the character, with the toy line. Because I love Hunt for the Decepticons, and I had to have Hunt for the Decepticons Bumblebee on the list, but I also really needed the Terradive mold. And thankfully, I have it with the Collectors Club Depth Charge. And to be fair, I love the Depth Charge more than I love Terradive. I have Terradive. Depth Charge I like more. Because I love this character. So thankfully, it works out. But yes, this is the best deluxe Jetformer mold ever made. By far the best. I don't have the weapon stored on the bottom because I wasn't bothered. But it goes down there. Yeah, look at this. It's just so slick. It's very thin as well. There's not a lot of robot stuff hanging down. Obviously, you can see arms, legs. But it's just so good at how this works. It's so efficient and so effective. It's also fairly complex. Hunt for the Decepticons, hell, this whole era of figures from 2010... there's a lot of complex figures. I mean, the Optimus was around the same time. The Bumblebee was from the same line, essentially. Like, there's a lot of complex stuff that came out around this time. It's probably like the ROTF toy line effect, where there's a lot of complicated stuff. And I feel like fans and parents and everything were saying, hey, you're making these a little too hard. Please, can we dial it back a little bit? And I'm kind of happy that they did, but I do enjoy and kind of miss this era of more intricate figures. I definitely do. Alrighty, we're making progress. Doesn't something rotate? I literally just transformed this a bit ago. There we go. That rotates. Alright. So the front. I love the front because it still forms the chest, but not in a way that you would expect. Just watch how this magic happens. We slide this forward and this whole chest just totally makes a shape that you would never expect. These little wings on the side come in to close it around. Like, did you see that coming? Did you actually see that coming? I mean, if you know the mold, I'm sure you did. But that is just so clever. We're almost done. We just got to bring in the arms here. Get those tabbed in. And yeah, check this out. This is, like I said, the best deluxe Jetformer I think we have ever gotten. This mold is incredible. And you may notice he has little thruster hands. I like that because it looks like he has little cannon hands. But he does have real hands. We can just flip these out. Let's go ahead and give him his trident that I showed off a little bit ago, because he looks really cool with the trident. Yeah, this mold was originally made for a more aquatic character of Terradive, but they were able to repurpose it into Depth Charge, and I think that was so clever and so amazing. And yeah, this is just such a great mold. It's such a great figure. It's so good. The transformation still leaves me stumped every once in a while because the shapes it takes. Like, look at that front, dude. The shapes and everything still even throws me off. And I've transformed this a fair few times. You saw me. I was kind of like, what goes where? But once it all comes together, you are left with such an incredible robot. And it's just all around one of, I can say, the best deluxes ever made. All right, we just have 2 left. And if you know me, Transformers Prime was one of the biggest things that really got me into Transformers. And if you know that toy line, you should know that one of the best deluxes ever made was the Vehicon. I love this toy. It's one of the few toys that I used to have duplicates of. I don't anymore, but I think I might have to break my no duplicate Transformers rule. I think I should probably own about 20 of these. Because this figure is just so good. Number 1, this alt mode is just straight up the Batmobile. It's just the Batmobile. And it looks so good. Flipping it around, too, you can see there's not a lot of robot stuff. You can kind of see that's where the legs are, that's where the head is. But a lot of the vehicle kind of gets concealed and hides away. And it's so well done. We do have the gun as well, and you can attach it to the front. It looks way better with 2, because in the show... It looks way better with 2, because in the show, 2 of them were popping out. But we can go ahead and tab that there. We can plug it into the back. It's just a very nice option. So how to transform this guy. If you don't know this transformation, be prepared, because this is going to blow your mind. This is going to blow your mind. So first thing I do is pull the arms out from the sides here and just kind of unfurl everything and get this arm out. And then this arm, I leave the hand in because that's where I put the gun. But yeah, just kind of get that unfurled. And then the next thing we're going to do is this whole section right here flips down. The whole thing. And that exposes a decent amount of the robot. We're going to flip these panels back just a little bit. Flip the feet up. And then watch this. We're going to split all this. Whole thing splits. And then watch. 1, 2, 3. I love that. It always looked like the Lego flag to me. That part right there. But 1, 2, 3. And just like that, almost the entire car is gone. It's just there now. That is so freaking clever. And he has a little automorph for his head reveal. Love that. But yeah, man, this figure rocks. Not only that, but you're left with a very articulated, very nicely done robot mode. It's just so well done. There are the Jet Vehicon versions as well. I love those. But I think ultimately the car is the one I like the most. I wish I had more of this. I really think I should go back and get some more duplicates of it. Because just having an army of Vehicons, it's not a bad idea. It really isn't. This is a great toy. If you don't own the Prime Vehicon, owe it to yourself to get this. There is the APC Toys knockoff that's out there right now. Honestly, though, this figure isn't that expensive. With how many people the Army built it and how readily available it was, there's a lot on the market. There's a lot. Like, I could go to a local toy store. I think they had like 2 or 3 of them for $15 each. I should probably go and buy those now that I think about it. But yeah, this is such a great figure. But it's not my number 1 favorite deluxe. My number 1, it took a lot of soul searching, and I don't think this will always be number 1, but right now it's my number 1. This mold would be on the list normally, but I think in this particular deco, it's number 1. And what is my number 1 favorite deluxe class transformer? It was the mold that was able to overthrow Trigger Happy. Freaking Trigger Happy. And it's not Twin Twister Topspin. It's Blur. But this, in particular, is the Takara Legends deco of Blur, aka the actual good deco of Blur. So, a little story on this. I got the Titan's Return one, the original one, and the colors are atrocious, absolutely horrible. But I couldn't help but acknowledge how good of a toy it was. And I was really relieved when it got remolded into Brainstorm, which if I didn't have this iteration of Blur, Brainstorm would be on this list. I was so relieved that it was done in a Brainstorm. But I got rid of that Blur when the 86 Studio Series one came out, because that one's deco was just so much better, and this one just wasn't really obtainable for me. But I went to the toy department a little bit ago, and they had this for $30 on their loose Transformers pegs, and I didn't buy it at first. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I need it. And I just kept thinking about it. I was in denial, and I'm like, you know what? I need this. And I got it, and I got it home, and I've not been able to set this thing down. I don't think it's recency bias, because I've had this mold since 2017. I don't think this is recency bias. I literally think this is just one of the most efficient and effective deluxe class Transformers ever made. So it has a lot of fun gimmicks as well. So removing the gun, it does have the Titan Master gimmick, which I know some people don't like, but in the case of this figure, the fact that it's a little guy that goes in the cockpit, and the fact that I can actually see a driver, I love that so much. And I think it works so well for this guy. Like, it's just so nicely done. I love this little Titan Master. I loved Titan's Return, dude. I think Titan's Return was the turning point of Transformers, where they went from, the era of struggling with the quality and the budget. Titan's Return, I think, is where they're really starting to get their grasp and really starting to make some solid stuff. Look at this. Look at this alt mode, dude. Look at this alt mode. So slick. So the transformation on this is just so satisfying to me. I can't get over it. I can't get over it. I love how the arms form. It's just so well done. It's Blur, dude. This is Blur. This is the best toy of Blur we have ever gotten and probably ever will get. The legs as well. We take these panels, undo this. This is my favorite version of, the leg furl. How it just uncurls and unfolds and everything. It's my favorite iteration of it, because that little bit folds away, it closes up, and we get to see the underside of it, and it looks so good. It looks so, so good. And then the torso here. This bit up here can actually be detached and used either as a shield, which actually looks really nice, and I'm pretty sure is something that G1 Blur had, if I'm not mistaken. G1 Blur, I'm pretty sure, had a shield, so I appreciate that. But it can also be used as like a weird little sled thing for the for the little Titan Master. It can be a little sled, you can put the gun in there. It's kind of neat, I guess, as like a secondary little vehicle, but not super necessary. But ultimately, I think it works pretty good as just a backpack. I think it still looks nice, still looks decent. And again, it has a practical purpose of being the shield, and you can't deny that that is a good-looking shield. Like, that doesn't just look like a chunk of car, that looks like a shield. That looks good. It looks genuinely good. And getting that back on his back, we can go ahead and fold that in. And I love how that folds in and you have a little Autobot symbol in the chest. Go ahead and get him holding his little gun. And then get the Titan Master in. Sometimes Titan Masters fit best if you put them on backwards first, and I think in the case of this, definitely fits best if you do that. And then get the head on, get his little scope up. And this, my friends, is what I feel is my favorite Deluxe Class Transformer. I do think I'm biased towards this color scheme because multi-tone blue is like my favorite thing ever. And this color scheme on this mold is just so delicious. But this is just such a good figure, dude. There's so many great figures here. All of these are great. There's a reason why they're top 10. But this Blur especially, the Brainstorm mold, I'm pretty sure, didn't this mold get used as RC as well? Also Nautica? Like, this has seen a lot of awesome reuse. And I would love to see this mold come back. I would love to see it. I don't know if they want to, like, redo the chest and get rid of the Titan Master gimmick and just have, like, the head flip into the cockpit. I don't care. I need to see this mold again. They should have just straight up made 86 Blur this mold, but just a little refined to not have the Target Master or the Headmaster. That's what it should have been. But the 86 Blur, while it's still good, it's not going to be my main shelf Blur anymore. It's going to be this. This is my new main Blur, dude. I love this. I do want to do a YouTube short. I did reacquire that Titans Return Blur, the original deco. Someone sent it to me in the P.O. box. I do want to make a short comparing the color schemes because, oh boy, the color on the original one is dire. Well, there we go, guys. I think that's it. This is my top 10 favorite Deluxe Class Transformers list. This was not easy to make, especially with the restrictions that I put on myself. But I think those restrictions helped to make this list as diverse and as interesting as possible. Because otherwise, I feel like Bumblebee might have shown up a couple times. The same toy line, Titans Return, probably would have shown up like 3 times. So I wanted to diversify it, and I'm really happy that I did. I'm really happy. So there's so many incredible Deluxe Class figures that have come out. There's so many. And I really want to know what your top 10 favorite are. I really want to know. If you want to put the same restrictions on your list as I did mine, like if your collection is the same size as mine and you want to put those restrictions on your list, feel free, but don't feel like you have to. If you want your list to be like the same toy line showing up 3 times, it's your list. Do what you want to do. I would love to see it down in the comments below. If you make your own list and you want to do a video of it, if you do the video, there's no like reply videos anymore on YouTube. That's been dead for like 10 years. But if you want to post the links in the comments of your top 10 Deluxes video, I will approve it. I'll approve your link. No links are just freely posted. I have to manually approve them. But yeah, I would love to see your lists. So videos to look forward to in this series. Obviously, I did Deluxe Class. I'm going to do Warrior Class. I'm going to do Voyager Class. I'm going to do Leader Class. I decided to group Cyberverse from Dark of the Moon and Transformers Prime together. So there's going to be Cyberverse. There's going to be top 10 Cyberverse. I'm also going to have top 10 like Core Class, Legends Class. And I might decide to include like old Legends Class in my Cyberverse as well. I'm not 100% set on how I'm going to do that. And I also would like to fit Core Class in there somehow. There's Titan Class. Titan Class would basically just be ranking them though, because there's pretty much only been 10 and I have them all. So this series is going to go on for a while. It's not going to be like next week there's going to be this next week there's going to be that. This series will continue as I see fit. It'll last a little bit. But I wanted to start with Deluxes, mostly just because my last trip to the toy department, I got not only that Blur, but also that Excellion, and I just was in love with them. So That's how it goes sometimes. Alrighty, guys. I think I've rambled on long enough. Again, I would love to know your top 10 favorite. Please post it in the comments below or make a video response. I would love to see what your top 10 favorite are. Alrighty, guys. That's pretty much it. Thank you so much for tuning in. This was a pretty big video for me to do, but I'm really happy I did it. I'm going to look back on this video years from now, probably like half a decade from now, and I'll see if it gets updated. I'll see if anything really changes. Because sometimes the list changes quite a bit, and other times, maybe 1 or 2 things changes. So, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Special shout out to channel members. As always, thank you all so much for your continued support. Have a great one, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.